The drama surrounding Isaac Cruz doesn't begin with noise. It never has. There's no theatrical entrance, no overproduced persona screaming for attention. Instead, it builds in silence. The kind of silence that unsettles louder men. The kind that waits patiently for the bell to ring. Because once it does, everything changes. Across the ring, fighters talk. They always do. Confidence spills into arrogance, predictions sharpen into promises. And somewhere in that storm of words, Cruz is almost always overlooked. Too small, too simple, too one-dimensional. That's the narrative they tell themselves. That's the mistake. And one by one, they pay for it. It was March 30th, 2024. The lights were bright, the stakes unmistakable. Rolando Romero stood as champion, defending his WBA super lightweight title for the first time. He brought with him everything fans had come to expect: power, personality, and a mouth that rarely slowed down. To him, this was just another night, another opponent, another step forward. To Cruz, it was something else entirely. Romero laughed, joked, dismissed. He painted Cruz as a stepping stone, a fighter who could be brushed aside with enough force and flair. The words flowed easily, predictions of knockouts, promises of dominance. He saw himself as the runaway train. But what he didn't realize, what so many before him failed to understand, was that Isaac Cruz doesn't get run over. He walks forward. From the opening bell, Cruz didn't wait to measure distance or test reactions. He closed the gap immediately, cutting off the ring like a man who had no intention of letting this fight breathe. His gloves weren't just tools, they were instruments of pressure, each punch a message sent with violent clarity. Romero tried to establish control, flicking out jabs, looking for space, but space is a luxury Cruz doesn't allow. Every step Romero took backward, Cruz matched it with two forward. Every attempt to reset was met with a storm of hooks, digging into the body, snapping upstairs, relentless and suffocating. There's something uniquely unsettling about Cruz's style. It isn't flashy, it isn't built on finesse or elegance, it's built on inevitability. He doesn't need to outbox you, he just needs to reach you. And once he does, the fight becomes something entirely different. By the end of the first round, Romero already looked like a man reconsidering his assumptions. He held when he could, clinching to slow the chaos, trying to disrupt the rhythm. But even in close, Cruz kept working. Short hooks to the ribs, compact uppercuts. Every second inside the pocket belonged to him. By the third, the momentum had shifted completely. Romero's attempts to box at range were shut down almost instantly. Cruz slipped shots with subtle head movement, then answered with punishing counters that carried both precision and weight. It wasn't just pressure anymore, it was calculated destruction. The crowd could feel it, that slow, creeping realization that this wasn't going to script. Romero, once confident, now cautious. His output dipped. His movement grew more desperate. And Cruz? He only grew stronger. By the fifth, frustration had taken over. A point deduction for excessive holding only made things worse for Romero, stripping away one of his last defenses against the storm. Cruz sensed it immediately. Predators always do. He pinned Romero against the ropes, unloading combinations that came in waves, left hooks to the body, right hands upstairs, punches thrown with the kind of intent that doesn't just score points, but breaks will. Romero's guard held, then cracked, then held again, but each exchange took something out of him. Round by round, piece by piece, Cruz dismantled him. By the eighth, the outcome felt inevitable. Romero was no longer fighting to win, he was fighting to survive. His legs betrayed him, his reactions slowed, and when Cruz unleashed another barrage, the referee had seen enough. It was over. Just like that, Isaac Cruz stood as champion, not through words, not through hype, but through pressure, precision, and an unrelenting will that refused to be denied. But if that fight was a statement, what came next was something else entirely. Because titles can be won, reputations are forged in war. On February 1st, 2025, Cruz stepped into the ring with Angel Fierro, and from the moment the fight was announced, there was a different kind of energy surrounding it. This wasn't just another bout, it was a clash of identity, a battle rooted in the very soul of Mexican boxing, and it delivered. From the opening seconds, there was no feeling out process, no hesitation. Both men came forward, throwing with intent, each punch carrying the weight of pride and legacy. Cruz did what he always does. He pressed forward, compact and relentless, digging into the body with vicious hooks. But Fierro wasn't intimidated. He stood his ground, firing back with combinations of his own, matching Cruz's aggression with sheer determination. This wasn't a fight, it was a collision. Round after round, the pace never dipped. Punches flew in volume that bordered on absurd, both men refusing to give ground. Cruz's style, often overwhelming, met its equal in Fierro's resilience. By the third, the exchanges had turned savage. Fierro found moments, landing sharp counters that snapped Cruz's head back, but every success came with a cost. Cruz answered immediately, turning each exchange into a battle of attrition where endurance mattered as much as skill. The fourth became a war. Body shots echoed through the arena, each one thudding with sickening clarity. Cruz's pressure forced Fierro back in bursts, but never for long. He returned fire every time, refusing to be broken. This was no longer about tactics, it was about survival. As the rounds wore on, fatigue should have set in. It didn't. Instead, both fighters seemed to dig deeper, pulling something primal from within themselves. In the seventh, Cruz landed a left hook that visibly shook Fierro. For a moment, it looked like the tide might finally turn, but somehow, impossibly, Fierro held on, regaining his footing and firing back in defiance. The eighth was fought in a phone booth. No space, no movement, just two men standing inches apart, trading shots that would have dropped lesser fighters. The crowd roared with each exchange, fully aware they were witnessing something special. By the ninth, even breathing looked difficult, yet neither man stepped back. They weren't just trying to win, they were trying to take something from each other. The final round was everything it needed to be. Both fighters emptied whatever remained, throwing with desperation, with pride, with nothing left to save. When the final bell rang, there was no clear loser, only two warriors who had survived something brutal. Cruz earned the decision, but the fight itself became legend. And yet, even that wasn't the end of the story, because in boxing, the next challenge is always waiting. December 6th, 2025. A new test, a different kind of opponent. Lamont Roch Jr. stepped into the ring carrying confidence and composure.